Hi, folks, and welcome to Vintage Veracity. Because when I typed in vintage and then I typed in a V, I just let it autofill, and for some reason it said veracity or something. I was like, okay, that works. when I'm
That's a
letting
good title.
auto,
We'll
when I'm
take
letting-
it.
yeah, I'll take it. When I'm letting autofill decide the title, that's when you know. I don't care what the title is. I just want to have fun. And folks, we're going to have a lot of fun today because I brought back the vintage experts of the internet here. We have Norm from the Board Game Museum. Luke from Down from the Attic.
Hello.
Bernardo from Tabletop Island.
Hey.
And the Retro Gamer from the Dice Tower.
Hello.
Yes, and I am so happy to have you guys back for another topic of vintage board games. So last week I sent out some questions, and I accidentally messed up on one of the questions. I was asking for the best vintage board game expansion you wish existed, but I left one key word out for Retro Gamer and Luke, the word expansion. And so I had them, last minute try to find an idea for a board game expansion. Well, now we're going to get to the actual topic of a board game you wish existed. Because I was like, well, that's kind of a stupid question. Then I thought about it. I was like, no, actually, there's a few that I wish did exist. So I find it an interesting question. And since, you know what, let's see, Luke, you and Retro Gamer were the most prepared, so I'm gonna let you two answer it. Let's go with let's start with Luke.
Okay. I've got two ideas, if that's all right.
Go ahead.
Okay. I love adventure games, so obviously it's no surprise that I would love a properly themed and with trap mechanics Indiana Jones game. I know there's the Temple of Akator one for the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but there's nothing at all like that for the original trilogy. And my favourite of the original films, controversially, is Temple of Doom. I absolutely love Temple of Doom. I love that fact that it's so dark, but I mean, the minecart chase is just amazing. But I think there's something there that could easily lend itself to a brilliant Indiana Jones game. So you've got the minecarts, you've got the temple, you've got the room with the spikes coming down. You could easily make a mechanic to do that. I mean, even with thinking with the minecarts, like Crash Canyon, where you roll the little minecarts along this 3D molded track, and that would be so cool. The other one I thought about as well is I would have loved a Back to the Future board game. Now I know there's one coming out. But the way I've thought about this one as well is if you have the board printed on like a conveyor belt and the different time zones are printed on this conveyor belt, on the top of that is like a clear tray that you move your pieces along. So you move into the DeLorean and you go from 1985 to 55, you turn the conveyor belt and the board takes underneath the clear to the 1955 part. And all the DeLorean pieces stay in the same places. So you'd be skipping from one time zone to the other. And yeah, it would be such a cool thing. You could have all sorts of different missions you'd need to do. So, go back in time and get the almanac from Biff, or go back and make sure that Lorraine and George meet. There's just so much growth there for an idea with Back to the Future. And I quite like the idea with like the board changing. I just think it's a really missed opportunity for such huge franchises, both of them,
I should have gone first because my idea is going to suck next to that.
That was well thought out. Jeez, I just had an answer.
I've had 2 weeks to think about this.
And you have thought about it. I get what you're saying about the board changing and a neat mechanism to have the board change. That's brilliant. In fact, you should go on Kickstarter and pitch that idea. I'm in. Vintage style, baby. Also, with Indiana Jones, you had me thinking, I can only imagine if Waddington had had the rights, what that game would have looked like. Because I think it would.
Milton Bradley. I mean, like Forbidden Bridge. They apply that sort of engineering from Forbidden Bridge, which is adventure themed, to Indiana Jones. Wow, you would have something spectacular.
Well, I already know that you may have poached Bernardo's pick, but the man's a huge Indiana Jones fan. But you saying that you like Temple of Doom as your favorite. I got a very short story. We weren't allowed to watch that one because if you remember, that was the one that was super violent, the one that created a PG-13.
Yeah,
that was the first time the movie raters went, what do we rate this? So PG-13 got invented because of that movie. And because it was PG-13, that moved us out of the we couldn't watch it because it had to be rated G back then for us kids. And that was the one Indiana Jones movie we didn't see growing up. Well, maybe my teens, my Burger King. If you, some guys remember this in the States, Burger King was letting you buy the Indiana Jones VHS cassettes for $5 when you bought something from them. And my grandmother bought all 3 movies. Well, she had Temple of Doom. We're like, shut up. And so we pop in Temple of Doom, and my mom couldn't tell the difference on what was what. She just know Temple of Doom was PG-13 for some reason, so we couldn't watch it. And we do nothing but watch Temple of Doom, and we absolutely loved it because it was like the lost episode of Indiana Jones we never got to see growing up. And of course, Short Round is close to our age. We're like, yeah, he's hilarious, and we're loving it. Nowadays, I can say it's not my favorite, even though that scene where he's on the bridge about to chop that rope bridge is epic, man. It's classic. I gotta ask real quick though. I want to go around the room because I'm curious now. Your favorite Indiana Jones movie? I'm gonna start with Norm. Mine's Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I'm gonna go with I think The Last Crusade was what it was called.
That's a great.
I remember watching that one a lot back in the day, so I would have to probably go with that one. I was
one of my favorite moments in Last Crusade is when that Nazi girl goes, I will always miss our times together. And Indiana Jones is about to respond, and Sean Connery responds as well. I will as well. You're like, wait, what, Dad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I love it.
Retro Gamer?
Temple of Doom is my favorite Indiana Jones movie.
Whoa! Dude.
I think that's an underrated movie.
Wow. That's fair. Well, whenever I think about taking out a human heart, I always want to say Homum Shabbat, Homum Shabbat. So that is something there. Okay. Bernardo, you are the Mecca Indiana Jones fan. If you say Crystal Skull, I'm booting you.
No, it's not Crystal Skull. I am my favorite is Raiders of the Lost Ark. I just like that's where everything kind of started, and just the boulder scene alone. Just I love that idea behind that.
Yeah, everything's just classic there. Although Norm is picking Last Crusade, he has a great argument because Last Crusade is right. If Raiders of the Lost Ark wasn't epic, Last Crusade would be right underneath it. I thought Last Crusade was brilliant the way they did it. So many good lines. No ticket. Everyone shows up their ticket. I can think of a million great scenes.
Well, don't go any closer than this.
Oh man, it is so great. They try to get Sean Connery to come back for Crystal Skull, and he had already retired from acting, and he thanked Harrison Ford and Steven Spielberg. He said, if I was to come out, it would be for you guys. He said, but I am retired now. And it would have been epic to have him in another one, but it would have made Crystal Skull a little bit better.
Did you guys know that they're doing a new one? They pushed it back till 2022 that it would come out, but I didn't know that.
Indiana Jones and the Wheelchair of Destiny. He's finding his way through an old folks' home. It's 80-year-old Harrison Ford. No, well, that's the agreement. That's a lot of people are just amazed that I guessed that Han Solo was going to die in Episode 7 2 years before the movie was made. And that's because I knew Harrison Ford hates Han Solo. He loves Indiana Jones. He wants more Indiana Jones. And he made a deal with Disney and says, hey, I'll come back for your movie, but you got to give me an Indiana Jones movie. and they agree. That's why it's not a reboot or anything. That's why Harrison Ford has to do it. But
Wait,
they've been
he's going
delaying.
into a Star Wars movie? Where is all this coming from? Where have I been?
What, Harrison Ford in a Star Wars movie?
No, in another one? He's doing a new?
No. Back when he came back for episode 7, that was part of the deal.
I was really surprised with his cameo in Rise of Skywalker. That came out of nowhere.
Oh, was he back for that too? Oh, at the end when everyone's coming back?
No, like, I mean, it's so weird because obviously he's not a Jedi. He almost comes back as like a Force ghost to speak to Ben on the ruins of the Death. I'm not making it up, honestly.
Wow, that's crazy. I didn't know that. I haven't seen the new movies.
I haven't either, but I'm gonna go back and rewatch the originals and then watch the new ones. So I got a lot of work.
After you watch Temple of Doom again.
You know, I don't think I've seen Crystal Skull from beginning to end, to be honest with you. I'm trying to think of it.
You're not missing much.
Man, see, Nuke the Fridge gets laughed at a lot, but I don't mind that. There's 2 scenes I hate. It's where the kid's swinging from the vines.
Oh, God.
That's dumb. And then the ants, they're so CGI. It looks terrible.
You know, the best scene in that whole film is the motorcycle chase through the university because it's real. They did that for real. Like, weaving in between like traffic and flying through buildings. There's nothing faked. It's all done practically like the original films. And that's what I hate about Crystal Skull. It's all CG. And
that's good. I like how they went with Russians in the 50s because the Russians are the bad guys now.
That makes sense.
I got that. I was digging a few things at first, and then at the end, I was like, "Oh no, it really is a Crystal Skull. It really is aliens." So the MacGuffin was terrible for it. But anyway, all right, I digress. Bernardo, what is a vintage game you wish existed?
Well, I could definitely say that Indiana Jones was at the top of my mind, but I actually would really like a Twilight Zone board game that's actually good. I know there is one. It's kind of like a roll and move, has cards. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I did get a chance to kind of mess around with it, see the rules. I don't own the game. It's rather expensive, but Twilight Zone is actually my favorite series of all time. I would love a game that has... obviously, I would love really nice pieces, but I think the main aspect of the game I would like is constant plot twisting. I think if the game was created almost like Flux, to where the game's rules constantly change, I think that would be interesting because the series itself just is a constant plot twist of plots to where you think it's one thing and it ends up being something deeper and it ends up being something else. So I think if there's a way to incorporate the idea of like Flux where the rules can constantly change to where you're trying to get to the end point, I think that would be something interesting to have. But Twilight Zone board game that's good, I would love to have that.
And you'd like it to include slime.
Yeah, something like that.
Twilight Zone is one of my all-time favorite shows. I love that show.
Oh yeah, number one. Second would be Tales from the Crypt.
Norm, I got to go around. So I got to ask now. What was your favorite Twilight Zone episode, Norm?
Mine? What was that one called? You might remember, Bernardo. I just liked it because of the way they made it. It was the one where the guy was getting hung from the bridge and the rope snapped off or whatever. Do you remember that one? It was kind of like a lost episode. Do you remember that one?
I'm trying to think of what season it is. This is a black and white one.
Yeah, it was it was the 4th or 5th season, but
yeah.
Anyway, the guy, it was a really amazing episode, but anyway, the rope snapped and the guy went through the river and he's running around or whatever. But at the very end, it turned out he was just daydreaming and he ended up getting hung anyway. So, yeah, that just came out. You know, that's basically Twilight Zone for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember what that one was called. Oh, that's gonna bug me now.
Retro Gamer, do you have a favorite Twilight Zone episode?
I actually do. I don't know what it's called, but it was with some lady who had a normal face and everybody else in the world had like a monkey face and they thought that she was disfigured. Ugly, yeah.
Yeah,
but her face was normal.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I
my
remember
favorite. That's my favorite. It's called Eye of the Beholder.
Yeah, that was a total twist. It's like, what is going on? Like, whoa, my gosh, because you didn't see the people's faces at first.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was great. Eye of the Beholder. They did like 3 different renditions. I actually like the 2002 one where they're like in. It almost seems like a space station, if I'm remembering it wrong. But it's definitely the future where this person's looks. It actually shows her face in the beginning. She looks human, and everyone's like, "Oh, she feels ugly," and she's like hating herself, and everybody's like treating her differently. And then at the end, they like start to pan up, and they're like these aliens, and I'm like, "Oh, this is crazy." Yeah, no, I love it.
I love that show, man. It's so
Luke, do
far.
you have a favorite Twilight Zone episode?
Yeah, again, I don't know what the name of the episode is. It's a black and white Ron Serling one.
No one does. No one knows the name of it.
It's the one with where it looks like a beautiful, quiet, beautiful town, perfect. Everyone's happy, everyone's cheerful, and it's all because there's like an 8-year-old boy who can read minds, and if you're not happy or doing the things that he wants you to be doing, he will turn
I
you
remember that one.
horrible.
Send him to the
Like he
field.
turns his dad into a Jack in the Box, and I think The Simpsons made like a Treehouse of Horror sort of spoof on it, but it's a great episode.
Yeah. I remember that one. That was one where he sent him into the cornfield, right?
Yeah.
My favorite one was from one of the movies. I want to say it's the one from the 80s, and it was called The Shadow Men. And this boy has a shadow man rise from his bed every night and whisper, "I am the shadow man. I will not harm the person under whose bed I sleep." And then he goes out and he murders kids. I mean, really, really happy episode. So the school is on lockdown. There's a curfew, a sunset curfew in town. Well, this bully is really pushing around this kid. So the kid goes, "Okay, I'll meet you on the playground at 9:00 at night." He goes, "What?" Everyone in the school goes, "What?" He went, "You better be there." He said, "Oh, I'll be there." So he's not afraid. So he's combing his hair, getting all, jazzed up. The shadow man does his whisper. He's like, yeah. He said, "Just don't be late. Meet me on the playground." And the shadow man floats out of the window. And so then he goes to the playground, and the bully's like, "Okay, come on, let's fight." Well, then, of course, the kid's looking around for the shadow man. He's delaying. He's just trying to stall. And then finally, the shadow man arrives, and he goes, "What you going to do?" He's like, "You need to run." He's like, "You can run." And so the kid starts running. He was like, "Well, what are you doing? Go after him. Get him. He's right there." And the shadow man grabs the kid and holds him up, and he's choking him. He goes, "Wait a minute. I thought you said you wouldn't harm me." And he whispers, "I am the shadow man from someone else's bed." And then it pans away with the kid, like with his eyes like this. And it's just an overhead shot panning away on the playground. I was like, "Oh."
Yeah. That'll teach a kid from going out past his curfew.
As a kid, it freaked me out, man. I checked my bed. I had a flashlight underneath there. I was like, make sure there ain't no shadow man. Bernardo, what is your favorite episode?
Yeah. No, I'm actually with Retro Gamer between the Eye of the Beholder. That one was definitely one of my all-time favorites. My other one would definitely have to be from the 2002 series. I was very surprised by it. It was about a baseball, and this kid ended up, it's kind of like a slice of life kind of episode where he was a kid and ended up arguing with his parents and decided to leave his girlfriend because he wanted to do something better with his life. So he stole his father's signed baseball. I forget who it was that signed it, but it was worth a lot of money. He ended up selling it at the time and ended up building this empire and became this corporate tycoon. And while he's this tycoon, he starts to find things from his childhood, like his jacket from high school. And he starts to find these letters from this girl, and this girl that passed away a long time ago that was his girlfriend at the time starts to show up. And it's kind of like he starts to feel resentment and regret, tries to go visit his parents. But in the end of it, it kind of twists when he ends up finding the baseball again. It kind of switches him back into time, and he decides to make the decision to not steal the baseball. And it was such a really good plot twist and a really nice meaning to it, and how he really didn't appreciate anything he had, kind of thing.
What's it called?
I don't.
No one knows. No one knows the episode.
Yeah, I don't remember. I used to really be good. I used to do trivia for Twilight Zone, but
I think mine was called Shadow Play, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be mistaken. Anyway, it was from the movie from the 80s, I remember. I think, or maybe it was from the 80s rendition of Twilight Zone. I don't know. Anyway, so there you go. Okay, retro gamer, a vintage game you wish existed.
Okay, mine is off of a movie that actually in the movie they made it sound like they had a board game. It's The Running Man. They never made a board game out of The Running Man. I know that there's a print and play by somebody on Board Game Geek. Somebody made a print and play, but I would love to see a real Running Man board game. I think there's so much they could do with that. It could be based off the movie. It could be, something else, but it'd be a cool thing. People trying to get from one point to the other point without dying to win, a trip to Hawaii.
Now you said they teased a.
Yeah, they during the movie, it was obviously a game show, and as people were picking their, I think they were called stalkers, they were giving them prizes. Say, okay, now you have a TV, and now here's the board game you can play. So you don't remember that scene at all?
Oh no, I don't remember it. But yeah, okay. They said here's I remember them giving away prizes. I didn't know one was a board game.
There was a board game as a prize, the Running Man home game.
That would have been smart. That would have been smart. Cross promotion, man.
Yeah, no, but they never did one, and I think it was a big missed opportunity because that could have had some possibilities.
I'm telling you, right? Okay, mine is not as genius. I can't come up with great mechanics ideas like Luke can. I appreciate Luke. By the way, Luke, thanks for showing me up again here. But I want more board games about fast food places. There just isn't enough, man. We got McDonald's and we got Wendy's with Where's the Beef. So you know what? La Taco Bell. It's a 90s game where you're all the Chihuahua and you're Yo Quiero Taco Bell, man, and you're just moving around the board, maybe grabbing some tacos. I don't know exactly what you're doing. You're trying to get to the drive-thru in time. I don't know. Kind of like I don't remember what that game is where you have to wait in line, Koljica or whatever. Maybe just waiting in line at different, Taco Bells, trying to get them tacos and burritos and, whatnot first. Say what?
It could be the drive-through where you're waiting.
Go to the drive-through or whatever. I don't know because I can't think of the mechanics. I was like, man, we need more board games about fast food places. And so Taco Bell was one of mine that I chose there. Not very intelligent. It doesn't take over a movie or TV IP. I did think about things. I was going to say Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but I don't know what type of game that would be. And plus, didn't they make a limited run of that board game? Didn't some artist design a Ferris Bueller's Day board game? I'll have to go back and look at that. But anyway, so that was my pick, a Taco Bell board game.
That's hilarious.
Yo Quiero Taco Bell.
I remember that.
And my favorite commercial with them was when they did the Godzilla promotion, and there's all it says free tacos. It's spelled wrong, and it's a taco underneath a little cardboard box with a stick, and there's a string to the stick, and they follow the string, and the little Chihuahua has his paw on the string. He's going, "Here, lizard, 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 lizard," and you hear Godzilla's scream from the 1998 maybe. I was like, yes.
An interesting thing is the Taco Bell dog was a girl dog.
Oh, I think I may have known that. I can't remember if I heard that before. Yeah.
It was a female dog.
Oh, man. I was sad when she passed away. They put that in the news. It's like, no. It's like that and Spuds McKenzie. I remember the day they died. TV's most famous pets. Lassie had to be in there too, but I didn't know when she died, and I didn't care because I was too little back then.
I just can't believe why they got rid of it. They waited so long, and then finally they felt like it was offensive at that time when it was already so popular. That's crazy to me.
Oh, he was great. She was great.
She was great.
Yeah.
She was great. All right, Norm, what is a vintage game you wish existed besides Mitra Mouth Part 2?
You know, I don't know why this came to mind. Maybe it's just because I've seen all the movies, and I have not seen this as a game yet. But I'm kind of curious what they would do with a Dirty Harry game. I don't know if they. I have no ideas as to what they could do. Maybe they could have like a life-size 357 Magnum in the game. They could
Oh, shit, yeah.
go ahead and make my day cards. Like I don't know how they could do it, but I've never seen that. And they made like 5 movies, and there was like so many great quotes from that movie, like "Go ahead, make my day, punk," and just the way they made Dirty Harry into this larger than life. Just I don't care what anybody thinks as far as the cops go, and he would just take care of business the way he did, and he had the iconic gun. So I don't know what they could do with it, but it would be really interesting to see what they could do with the Dirty Harry themed board game.
Oh man, you can point the gun at someone and say, "Do you feel lucky?" Roll the die.
Yeah, see, and that's really weird because they have a Columbo board game, they have a Kojak board game, they have a SWAT board game. Why wouldn't they make another cop board game?
Yeah.
I don't know why that came to mind, but it just did. I just for some reason, why not? I'm sure they could do something with it.
Why not, indeed? Okay, so our next topic is a beautiful looking board game. What's a beautiful looking vintage board game? You're just like, man, this is just a really nice board game. I'm gonna let the retro gamer go first here.
Wow, thanks. I think the most good looking board game that I've seen is Broadsides and Boarding Parties. I mean, the ships are massive, and they look absolutely excellent on the table.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I just don't even play the game just to stare at, look at this. This thing is huge and massive. It's a beautiful, beautiful looking game. Broadsides and Boarding Parties. And Norm, you did a review on that a year ago or so.
Yeah, I love that game. That's an amazing looking game.
That's the game you look at and go, I need to put this ship in a bottle.
Yeah, exactly. Just going to leave it on display right here.
I'll be honest. I think, Norm, I may have even told you, either I commented on the channel or I called Norm after the review went up and went, that looks amazing. Amazing. It is. It's one of the beautiful games. Okay, so I'll go next. My pick is one that I saw on Tom Vassel's board game shelf years ago, back in his old days. He still was filming at his house and everything. I was like, what is that game on his top corner? Which is what we all do when people are doing board game reviews and they're showing their board game collection in the back. You don't care what that person's saying. You're just looking in the back for what board games they have. And I finally found it, and I looked it up. I was like, I'm getting this game because it looks amazing. And it is, don't know how to say it, but the Dinosaur from Germany. This game has, you're battling with, it's just a game of battle, but you're battling with, dinosaurs who are looking, they're all saddled up in the minis, or the pieces, I should say, not minis. The pieces are just, I don't even know if you'll be able to, yeah, look at that detail.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Look at that detail on just that. I mean, and you can paint these. Obviously, these were built to paint. Hold on, let me get the Brontosaurus up here, the Battle Brontosaurus here. Look at that.
Have you reviewed this game?
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. I can see the wheels in Bernardo's head already turning. He's going to get himself a copy today. But just like he's got knee pads on, for crying out loud, and battle armor. And there are holes at the top where you put little figurines that ride them, and those figurines are all different looking.
Oh,
let me show the Raptor, and that'll be it. But it's just a beautiful game.
Matt, can you put one of the people on there? Can I see one of the people?
Yeah, you can see the people. Hold on. Let me get all the little mini people. There are little people here. Hold on. Come on. Focus.
And they look really inferior to the dinosaurs.
There's another one.
Yeah.
Man.
There's another guy. Oh, I mean, just incredible the way they look on the board and how it plays. I mean, setup takes as long as the game does to play at times because you're trying to snap all these little pieces together. There's pterodactyls.
I don't know. I feel like I haven't seen this on your top list, Matt. He's trying to sell us on this guy. I need to watch that review again.
I'm telling you, it's a fun. I just recently replayed this with my wife, who was not impressed because it was a battle game with dinosaurs, and that's not something she wants to play. But it is just. I was just thinking about because the pictures on the cards, they show you all the dinosaurs, but they're painted, and so I bet they sculpted these so you could paint them. And I'm sure some people have painted these, and it's just so unbelievable. The board is just a grid board. It looks kind of normal. There's a big volcano in the middle. Volcanoes. Bernardo even likes that. With little fireballs. You play fireballs or just how you re-roll die.
Oh, now Volkar's excited.
You throw it in the volcano, and either it's out of the game because there's a divider it lands on. If it shoots here, it's out of the game. If it shoots back in, it goes into the lava pool where you can draw it back out again. So again, basically it's battle, but the pieces look so nice on it. So nice on it. It's one of the most beautiful board games I have. I was thinking about that just this past week while I was playing. I was like, this is just a really nice game. Really nice looking game. All right. Norm, what is your pick?
Well, I know we've talked about what is that? Come on, Norm, what is that game? Oh, it'll come to me. Anyway, I'll tell you this one here. I have a game here called Battle Zone. Have you all ever heard of this? This is like the unit.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's a massive unit. It looks really, really cool, and it's kind of like a pinball game where everybody's shooting these balls over the dome and they're trying to score on each other's opponent's table. And that's a game that looks really nice. I cannot remember. It was that game, Matt, that has Village of Fear, Dark World.
Yeah, Dark World. Yeah.
Yeah. I think out of all the games I've ever seen, that's probably the most beautiful one that I've seen. I remember watching a review on it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that is amazing!" Especially when
Dark World is amazing. You shouldn't watch Luke's review on it, but let me just tell you, it's a great game.
I know the game. I know the game is here and there as far as the gameplay and stuff. But just looking at your review and the pieces and everything, just absolutely blew me away.
It's absolutely wonderful. I even have pieces that I don't know what game they go to, but it looks like they go to that game, but they're different molds for some of the characters. I think I showed it in one of my reviews. It's like, I've never seen it. I don't even know where this piece goes. I don't see it in the thing. And I mean, when I saw that Luke was reviewing, I was like, yes, he's going to say some great things about it. And then he sits in his attic and goes, this game basically sucks.
Yeah.
Like that. He said it in his English accent and was all intellectual about what's wrong with the game. And it was just like tearing my heart out, just like they did in Temple of Doom.
Kalima! Kalima!
And the thing is, this is the man who praised the Curse of the Idol and changed some rules. But when it comes to Dark World, he just dumps it. He just dumps it. I'm not going to work on these rules.
Too much to fix. It's like key to the kingdom. You just too much work. Just get a new key.
It's like when your hero crushes it. You just crushes everything you love. I was just like so devastated.
It's like Key to the Kingdom and the Curse of the Idol game are both beautiful looking games. There's a lot of talk as to whether the games are any good or not. As far as it, some people like it, some people don't. But they're beautiful looking.
That's what I'm saying. Luke didn't give up on Curse of the Idol.
Oh yeah.
When he Dark World, he went, "This game is garbage." He didn't say it like that, But,
I'll tell you what, Luke. If you don't want the games, feel free to ship them my way. I'll take them if you don't want them.
I think the rules were phoned in, and there's no doubting that the game looks beautiful, but the rules for Dark World are phoned in. It's a first attempt, and just hit on,
Okay, all right. It sucks. Okay, move on. I wish I could play that game, but shoot, I should have put that on my list of the next question. But anyway, all right, Luke, what is a beautiful board game?
Norm's just mentioned it, and it's Curse of the Idol. This game is beautiful to look at. The box art itself is gorgeous, but let me just show you some of the components. I mean, I'm really looking. I've got the actual splines that the pieces fit into.
Oh wow!
They are double-sided. So I mean, like, so I've got two here at the same time. Yeah. So you've got like the temple innard there, but on the reverse, you've got the outside of the temple, and there's differences. You know, like so you've got like vines creeping on the outside, but on the inside, you've got like temple lanterns lighting the thing up, and it's just stunning. I mean, the guy who did the artwork for this was a comic book artist in the UK called Don Lawrence. I mean, just the board itself is really, really detailed. Like, there's so many little things, like, you know, like this forced fire pit, and you've got like this pit of bones with little skeletons you can see in there. There's crocodiles hiding in the river at the front, and the guy obviously, you know, he really cared about the way this thing looked because he hid his name in the thing. I'm just trying to find now the piece. There it is.
Showed that in the review.
Yeah. So his name, he sort of made it look like hieroglyphics. Don Lawrence there.
That's awesome.
And yeah, I can't fault this. Like, look at this when it's all set up. It's got like that hand painted, like Drew Shoesen look to it. It feels like an old movie poster, like in 3D in front of you. I love the way this game looks.
Yeah, it's a beautiful game.
I just realized it had a waterfall in the front. I've never noticed that, and I played the game a few weeks ago.
I'll tell you what, you guys know that game is from the Pit, right? Yeah, I'm sure you do. But if you actually look inside where the monster goes, they have like a lot of cool little details inside the pit itself that I didn't really notice until I actually looked at it. They did a really good job with the painting on that one too.
And that's the question: why even paint that? Because you're never going to look at it.
I know, but they do it anyway. You know, it looks. They've got, I think, bones in there and all other sorts of stuff.
It's little things like that I appreciate. Like it's going the extra mile. Like the reverse of the Lost Valley of the Dinosaurs, where it's like the adventurer's map. It's not needed. You'll never see it. But it's
on the back of the board.
Yeah,
it's wonderful. It is absolutely wonderful. All right, you know that game, Curse of the Owl, very beautiful, just like Dark World is beautiful. Okay, so Bernardo, what is your pick for beautiful vintage board game?
Well, much like Luke, it just got talked about. It's actually it from the Pit. So obviously, if you guys have seen my review, I've said a couple things about it with it being noisy, but putting it on the table, that's probably one of the only games I was confident enough to not have to say anything and know everyone would be excited to play it. It looks crazy. It has this 3D monster, his hands kind of coming out, and obviously when he starts scooping people. This 3D kind of moat, I guess I can call it. It's such a beautiful game and so nice to look at. Definitely nothing I would have to say about that game at all. I mean, I'm a huge Tornado Rex fan, and even just on the table, that game just beats it by far.
Let me ask you: Are you a risk taker? Do you just go the inside ring, or do you play it safe and go around the outside?
That depends how fast my friends roll. Because sometimes they get lazy and forget the guy's still moving, and I'm like, yo, you gotta move. So, yeah.
I'm a risk taker, so I either win that game or I lose horribly.
I find it funny when he grabs your pieces. Something about that feels like I'm winning when he's just scooping. Like, yes, he won.
Because his hand comes down so fast, like, bam, gotcha. Bam. And to be honest, it builds up the tension because as he's turning around, you don't know where he's going to slap down because you see it slowly rising. And then all of a sudden it just snaps down. They did that on purpose, and I love it. I love it. So we also play a little mini game where you set up all your people around the board and just play it and see last man standing. Whoever he doesn't grab last, that color wins.
That's a good idea. That's funny.
That's a fun bonus game we play at the end, me and my nephews, because it's just such a fun game. All right, so the next one is. And this is one of my favorite topics today because I wanted to talk, even though these topics have been actually really excellent. You guys have all had better answers than me, except for Luke with his Curse the Idle love and Dark World hate. But a vintage board game that you absolutely love, but you can't get anyone to play with you, sadly, because there's a few for me. Dark World would have been one of them. Now that I think about it, because I introduced my nephews to Descent, which is all this stuff up here, and that's all. When they want to do a dungeon crawl, they want to do Descent. Now I was like, shouldn't have shown Descent so early. Because around of Dark World's for kids now. They're like, no, we want to play Descent. So that would have been on my list if I'd have thought about it, but it's not. So Norm, I'm going to go with you first because I don't know if Norm plays a lot of games with his wife, and I'm wondering, is there a game that he loves? His wife's like, no.
I'll tell you what. Most of the, I think most of the games that I have, if it takes longer than 5 minutes to teach, people are not going to really be interested because I don't have game nights very often. I'm going to show you a game though that I think I've played once, and my wife doesn't really like it a lot, but it's one that I would like to try again, and it's this one. It's called Shadow Lord. I think basically the game is you're trying to be the ruler of the universe, and you're fighting everybody else, but everybody is trying to team up against the Shadow Lord and all his minions too, and there's like a timed element to it. So if you run out of time, everybody loses. But the only thing with this game is the instructions are so detailed. They're like 30 some odd pages, and it's one of those games where it's like you have a section and then it says the exception to this rule is, and then it does it over and over and over again. And when I tried to teach this game one time, people just stared at me blankly, and I finally gave up because I was getting confused myself. But I like the way the game plays. It's just the rules are just so they're so ridiculously detailed, and they add so many little things in there, and it's just a very hard game to teach. I think when I did the review on it, it took like 20 minutes or so, and I had to be careful because you know how it is when you're doing reviews. If someone sees something even the tiniest bit wrong, they're going to nitpick and then put a link to the time when you messed up.
No, that never happened on any.
Yeah, it never ever happened. Yes. So I'd like to try this game again, but I guess I'm going to have to relearn it, and it looks like a cool game. I mean, I played it once, but really hard to teach.
It's also one of the few games with an exclamation point in it.
Yeah. I guess the exclamation point means really hard to teach.
Means for a vintage game, we really overthought this rule book.
Yeah, I think it's funny when you tipped it and you could hear all the pieces shake around, and I was like, dang, I know that sounded disappointment. Every time I pick up a game and I just hear the pieces slide, I'm like, oh no.
I remember playing Shadow Lord when it first came out. A friend of mine had it, and we played it a lot. And then when I acquired it later on in life, and I'm all, I used to know how to play this? How the heck did I know how to play this thing? I don't remember a thing.
You had to call back.
Yeah, it's like, how do you play this game?
I played this game at 10. I don't know how to do it now.
No, exactly.
All right.
One day I'll play it again.
All right, Luke, do you have a vintage board game you love, but you just can't get anyone to play with?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do. It's...
Besides Dark World.
I love this thing. This is what it gets to an Indiana Jones game for me. And the difficulty is not getting new players to play it. They'll look at it and go, wow, this looks awesome, let's play. It's getting people who played it before to play it again. The big problem with this is there are so many spaces. So let me flip the board around. You can actually see. So in the center of the board here, there's like 4 cogs. There's like a little cog which you turn to make all the big cogs turn, and it changes the paths. But the way you activate this on the actual main board, there are cog spaces. And the thing is, I think the game just has too many of them. You are being spun around that thing like a rotisserie chicken. And it's just so annoying. You move into the temple, and you have to land there by exact move. And there's a cog rotate symbol, so you rotate yourself, and you're like, yes, great, I'm in the temple. I can get the bloodstone, and then you just know by the time your turn rolls around again, some absolute swine will have spun you back out again, and then you have to move off, land on it again, and move back in. It's just terrible. So I mean, we play with house rules, but even then, it's once in a blue moon this game comes out. I always look forward to it because I still really enjoy the game. I mean, other things as well is like, so the idol at the back here, the bloodstone's hid in one of 6 segments, and you need to get the sword from the plinth here and push it in one of the 6 slots. And we've played a game where we've just played it as normal rules, where you've been spun in, spun out of the temple, and it's been the very last slot we've tried, and the game lasted 2 hours. And by that time, we were more than happy to see the Bloodstone fall. It was like, oh, thank Christ, it's here, you know. Right, one of us, just get it out of the temple, end this game, you know.
One of the things, can you hold that back up, Luke? Retro Gamer,
Yeah.
look at them kids loving that game.
I know, geez, that's a fantastic. That's a fantastic picture.
And the thing is, I just noticed this. The lights from the temple are just glowing on those kids' faces. That one kid is like about to get burned by the flame there. He's lit up. Kids enjoying board games, I'm telling you. My wife and I played that a few weeks ago, like I said, and she stuck her first sword in there, and it was the wrong sword, and she wiggled it around. Well, then when you do that, get right. I was like, yeah, go ahead, just take it, just go. Let's end this game.
That's how you do it. That's a real power play.
I'm telling you what. All right, Bernardo, what's a vintage game that you love, but you just can't get anyone to play with?
So this is kind of a toss-up. I'm still not sure in terms of which one would win, but the Slime Monster game is one that some people, not all of them, have played, and it's hard for me to get them to play it again. They really just like playing with the slime, unless the game. But the other one, I think the one that I probably have more of a story for would be Rattler. Rattler is a really fun game. I actually found that out because of Matt. The game is you're kind of moving across the mountain, and at some point when you're turning this little top dial, it'll make a rattle sound. And then when you push the top in, the snake shoots out of one of the panels. So when I first played this game, I decided I wasn't going to tell my friends what happens in the game. I'm just going to be like, it's called Rattler. It just makes this sound. So when you push it, it'll make a noise for you to decide. And it was a toss-up for me because it could have shot out on my side. Thankfully, it didn't. But when it ended up rattling, because I knew a lot of them were afraid of snakes, when it popped out, that thing, for the life of this game, it shot out far. And I was like, oh, this is so great. But they were very terrified. They did not very much enjoy the game. There isn't a lot going for the game, to be completely honest with you. But I did very much enjoy it, and I did very much enjoy the other players being afraid. That was probably a highlight.
My wife hates that game because the snake just shoots on out. And it's a funny, goofy-looking snake.
It is.
We started playing it, and we were turning, and we finally hit it, and it came out first. She went, and she went, I forgot I hate this game.
That kind of reminds me of a story from my childhood. A friend of mine got a black eye from Pop-Up Pirate.
That's something you don't tell your friends growing up.
That's great, though. That's great. Okay, Retro Gamer, is there a vintage board game that you love, but you can't get anyone to play with?
For me, it would have to be Star Trek: The Next Generation VCR board game. Just for the sheer fact that I think you actually need the proper group to play it, because you actually wear these little sticker communicator emblems that every time it's your turn, you have to hit it and says, yes, Captain, yes, Captain. And people just don't want to act it out, you know? That, and it's hard to find somebody with a VCR nowadays.
I got you covered.
But yeah, I'm thinking if you get the right group and people to actually role play it as you're playing the game, because that's how it was meant to be played. And I think people would really enjoy it. But I can't get my play group to play. Go, no, we're not going to play that.
No, you're not my captain.
Come on,
yes,
Captain. Yes, Captain. And I even think you get penalized if you don't do that.
That's great. That's great. I want to play the game. Oh, mercy me, that is funny. Oh, okay, great stuff. Great stuff. Okay, so mine, I'm gonna cheat just a little bit because there were three that I thought about, and I was like, I can't decide. One is just a classic card game called Nerds. It's basically competition solitaire, where instead of you playing on that ace of spades, anyone can play on the ace of spades. They can play their two of spades there. That's how you get points. There's a deck of cards you have to get out of to call Nerds. And then whoever has cards in their deck, they take out 2 cards for every 1 card they have in their deck. My family used to play this all the time. It's a classic card game. I used to love it. We played it one Thanksgiving. We played over the holidays and on beach vacations. And it was just so much fun. And now no one in my family wants to play it anymore. I even bring the decks to the beach. And I was like, hey, you want to play some Nerds? Like, yeah, man. I don't know why, but the love for that game just left. And I absolutely love that card game. The second one is a classic game, Boggle. It's one of the few classic games I still have in my collection. I absolutely love Boggle, but I kind of I kind of screwed myself on this. The last time we played, I let everyone I was so good at Boggle. I let everyone do a round where every word they got a victory point for. So they started off with like 40, 45 points, and I still beat them by the end of the game. I mean, I'm just so dominant in Boggle, but then I saw on everyone's faces, they'll never play with me again. So I'm done with Boggle, and I love Boggle. I still have my Boggle with the hopes of one day bringing it back out. But the other one and the final one, I was talking to my brother this weekend about it, and I was like, you know what? I said, those are going to be my 2 answers, but I'm going to change my answer to that one. And it's a game. Back in the day, comic cards were all the rage. You could get your comic, go to your comic shop and get some comic cards of just your favorite comic book characters. Well, at that same time in the early 90s, a little game came out. I don't know if you've heard of this. It's called Magic: The Gathering.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Maybe. Still popular today. Well, it's wildly popular. Well, Wildstorm, which was created by Image, was coming out with their comic card set for that year and went, hey, you know what? This Magic card game, everyone's all up in arms about. Let's see if we can convert these comic book cards into a game. And they said sure. And the game's going to be good when it comes on one of these little cards, and that's it. That's all the rules. It's basically the game of battle. That's all it is. There's 6 attributes, and you pick an attribute. If your attribute is bigger than their attribute, you win. That's it. There are some hologram cards. This is the last card I had, the Wildcats card. This is the card I needed to complete my entire set. I had every card but this hologram card. There's only 1 per box. And I collected them all but this one. My card shop had 1 pack left, and they said they weren't ordering any more. And so I went ahead and bought it, and I was so upset because eBay wasn't really, well known back then. It wasn't really used that much. And I got this card out of that pack, and I was like, shut up. I couldn't believe I got it. I was like, now I have the hologram cards were a little bit better than the regular cards. And so now I had a mega deck, right? I could put in all my hologram cards, all my big characters. No one was going to beat me. And then that's when Wildstorm came out with an actual Magic: The Gathering ripoff of cards that look and sound more like this instead of this cheap little game of battle. And every single one of my friends went to play that game, and they didn't play this. This is called Wildstorm Set 1. They never came out with a Set 2. But the thing is, though, it's a stupid game of battle. I absolutely love it. I missed it. We used to go play this at the mall. We play it at the sale. Wherever we were at, we bring out our deck of cards and play a little game of Wildstorm. And I was telling my brother about it. He was laughing about it. He's like, that game probably sucks, right? I said, it probably does. It doesn't matter. So many good memories. I want to play it again. And one day when my girls are old enough, they're going to play battle with Daddy with a bunch of comic book characters they've never heard of before, because no one knows many about these Wildstorm Image characters anymore. But I still have the whole set in the box.
Oh God!
And oh yeah, man, they're collectible cards, but it's just one set. And the thing is, they're super cheap online now to get a whole set because no one likes the game, and no one's heard of half the players. So I mean, I've got some extras in here too, but the set is, if you can see where the cards are this way, that's the whole set. Ooh, bright
are those
light.
sleeves?
Those are the hard sleeves, yes, for them, because we were going to play forever, and there was not going to be any other game that was going to beat it. So
Forever shorter than I thought.
I actually thought I could play it because one of my old friends who moved up to Maryland came down this past year, and I was like, dude, we totally need to hang out. And I was thinking, you know what? I'm going to bring out this game and say, hey, you want to play like the old days? And we were sitting around the couch. I was like, hey, remember that game? Well, she's like, oh, yeah, we played that game all the time. I said, yeah. I was going to say, that game wasn't that good, though. He said, it was just battle when you think about it. And I was like, yeah. The game that was better was the one that came out after it. And they're like, yeah. And I'm going, yeah.
I thought you were going to say Super Friends, though, Matt. I'm really disappointed in you. The Super Friends card game.
Oh, you know what? That's another one. The Challenge of the Super Friends card game was a mega surprise for me. And I don't know how many people will play it with me. There'll be a few people who'll be like, what is this? Because at least the IP, people know what it is. But let's see if I get this. I don't even know why they made. I don't know why they made this. They made this for a niche group of people who remember Challenge of the Super Friends. And I wasn't even going to buy this game. At first, I was like, no, this is just a cash grab. And I think it was Chaz Marler, who did a little playthrough with his daughter. And I was like, that actually looks fun. So the next time I went through Miniature Market and was trying to get the free shipping for $100, I picked up this. And I was happy with it. But you're right. I'm like, who would you play this with? Unless they're people my age who remember this. I mean, but I love the game. I think and I don't even like card games, just straight up card games. I'm not really a card game fan, but that's one of the few card games I have in my collection.
That's what I want to try.
Say what?
That's what I want to try out one day, the Super Friends game. I remember watching that as a kid. Aquaman always got kicked
beat me at it.
Someone's got a party going on.
I know.
It's a good time.
Oh, Jackson's watching TV over here. Oh, wait, that's the wrong way. Where is he at? No, that's still the wrong way. I don't know what I'm doing.
What happened? You got kicked out of your studio?
I'm in the living room. What's that?
You got kicked out of your studio?
No, my battery's running low on my phone, so I can put it in the
And on that note, we will end it. All right. Well, once again, I want to thank all my guests for coming on. Folks, check out Norm at the Board Game Museum. His channel's up and running, and it's bringing out lots of content. He just reviewed Mr. Mouth after teasing us about it the week before. I should have seen that one coming. Luke from Down from the Attic, the man's furloughed. He has no better time than to make videos. I'm thankful for it. You got Bernardo from Tabletop Island, who says he has new videos coming out Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but yet it's like Friday at like 11:30 at night, like just barely on Friday. I'll wake up Friday morning.
For you, Matt.
Okay. Oh, well, yeah. But anyway, and then check out the Retro Gamer. Did you have a new video come out with
this morning? There was a new video out this morning. Yes. Okay,
so check out Board Game Breakfast. I know that's where I'm going right after this. Check out what the new game. What was the game?
It's called Dead Stop.
I love Dead Stop.
I am on a abstract game kick right now. I'm trying to get through all my abstracts.
Dead Stop is a great game. Actually, Norm showed me that game, I remember, and I saw it for like $2 at a flea market. And I was like, sold. Dead Stop, great game. So go check him out at Board Game Breakfast. And if you want to check out my channel, check out my Dark World review. It's really awesome. All right.
I'm fine.
Well, you check out Luke's Curse the Idol. Check out Curse the Idol. Back when he shows real passion and love for vintage board games. All right, folks. We'll see you next time. See you later. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now.